What I'm here to talk to you today about is the business of disruption. When we talk about the business of disruption, disruption's become very much a buzzword around the media, around the trend industry. Everywhere you go, you can hear about disruption. But what does disruption really mean? When we talk about disruption, we're talking about a fundamental change to the way we are interacting as humans and the way businesses are evolving. What you see on the screen there is an industrial action. We're no strangers to protests here in South Africa. But the protest that you're seeing on the screen here is different. It's the first industrial action taken against an app update. These are Uber Eats workers, and they are protesting against an app update that Uber put forward that changed the profitability of their business. This is a fundamental difference to the way industrial actions have taken place in the past. Their boss is effectively an algorithm, not a person. So this has a ripple effect through everything from businesses to governments to individuals and how we interact with each other. The thing with disruption is it's not limited to just one industry, like the transport industry or the media industry, like Shannon was talking about earlier. Disruption affects every single industry, and in particular, it affects the bigger industries. The bigger companies are, the more likely they are to fail. Olin Babson College in the US has discovered that Fortune 500 companies, that is the blue chip stocks, now have a lifespan of just 10 years. That is very scary if you're a big, cumbersome organization, but it's also a huge opportunity if you're young, agile, and nimble. When we talk about disruption, let's just take a quick step back and talk about the first wave of disruption. The first wave of disruption was really about the shrinking of the world, bringing us all closer together as individuals. This took place through 4 macro trends that we talk about. If we just go around the screen there. The first one was the digitization of everything. And when we speak about digitization, we're talking obviously about the advent of the internet and how that's affected so many industries, particularly those of print, media, and marketing. The next trend is that of social media. Social media is not just something fun to do in your spare time or to waste your time all day long in between lectures. The thing with social media is that it turned you and I, individuals, into broadcasters. It took away the dissonance between a media house and the people consuming the news. Consumers became the news and became distributors of the news. The next trend is that of individualization. You see the guy in the red pantsuit over there. The millennial generation, that is the people around about my age, born in the 80s and the 90s, they value independence and individuality very highly. This impacts on businesses because it's no longer about selling one single Henry Ford black car to every consumer. People want something unique. The last of the 4 trends is that of the Great Recession that took place in 2008. What the Great Recession really did is it exacerbated all these other trends, and it brought a lot of the social issues to the fore. We're talking about things like too fat profit margins and companies trying to extract too much out of the system without adding value. What all these trends of the shrinking world really boil down to is an elimination and a squeeze of the middleman. Any business that's adding fat to the system without adding value is in trouble. Also, what's come out from those 4 trends is 3 new economies, as we call them. Firstly, is that of the gig economy. Most of you here are entrepreneurs or freelancers of some sort, and this is the direction the world is heading in. LinkedIn shows that freelancers have increased 43% over the last year, and other research shows that 40% of the US workforce will be in the freelance or gig economy by 2020. The next economy is that of the sharing economy. Sharon was talking about Airbnb, I've spoken about Uber. These are all things that show that you can have the benefit of an asset without actually owning it. We even seen services where you can rent luxury shoes or handbags on a timeshare basis. So you don't have to own the product in order to get its value. The third economy is that of the on-demand economy. And this is key. In order to get someone's attention in today's world, you have to be able to stop their thumbs from scrolling within just 3 seconds through their smartphone. The culture of on-demand and instant gratification is really disrupting a lot of businesses. It's the same thing once again with Uber. If you want mobility, you just press a button on your app and you get the car. Uber Eats delivers you food when you want it, exactly how you want it. Of course, all these trends boil down to a very happily disrupted consumer. Consumers have never got so much of what they want exactly when they want it. But as delightful as it is for consumers, it's difficult for businesses. And that brings us to the second wave of disruption. If the first wave was all about the shrinking world, the second wave is about the rise of the machines. We're talking about technology that could either be very scary or very inspirational, depending on where your business is at. Specifically, virtual reality, big data, artificial intelligence, and the rise of the machines, as in robotics. Can we get some sound there? Okay, if the sound's not going to work, what I'm going to tell you is this is a company called Chaotic Moon Studios, and what they do is they've invented electronic tattoos. So I hope you can see that on the screen, but basically these tattoos embed a microchip onto the surface of your skin. They're not permanent. You can take them off. They last about 3 or 4 months, and they've got a multitude of different applications. Firstly, they can be used for health monitoring, pretty much like a Fitbit band, but the next generation. They can also be used for banking. So you could use that instead of having a credit card, your arm could become your credit card. So if you take a look there, this is how it's applied. And obviously it integrates with an app. So this is the direction that technology is heading. And why this is important is that this shows how we're moving into the era of big data. Can everyone see that? So it could be scary or exciting, depending on your perspective. The thing with big data is exciting if you're a marketer. Where we are right now is that big data is basically being used to sell us things. Most of these algorithms that we speak about, and this artificial intelligence, has actually been devised by retailers and marketers trying to get us to click on adverts in Facebook. And that's where we are now with big data. But what we see now is the evolution of big data going towards actually creating products and services. I'm sure you've all heard the Discovery Insure adverts about how if you install their tracker in your car and download their app, if you drive well, you'll get a discount on your insurance premiums. Now that sounds great and all, but at the same time, what they're really doing there is trying to discourage moral hazard, which is a problem in the insurance industry. And what we're going to see is these systems no longer being opt-in, but being compulsory. So if you don't wear your TikTat, you don't use your Fitbit, you don't install the tracking device on your car, it's going to cost you as a consumer. It's going to become increasingly difficult to opt out of the system. Once again, depending on which side of the fence you sit, it's either a threat and scary or quite exciting. And then going forward is really using that biodata. That becomes an issue about rights. We're seeing now that insurance companies could track your biodata using a TikTat type technology, but would they then have the right to use that data to develop a new drug or protocol that they profit on instead of yourself? Oh good, we've got sound.
带上就好了。
哎，画面动了。我好像在一个房间里面，照片会动，什么情况？我这是在哪？
Where did you come from?
这哥们儿吓我一跳。
Now that you're here, welcome to the Big Apple. You should really enjoy
哎
yourself, man.
这不是时代广场吗？我来过的，我居然从杭州穿越到了纽约。
Time to go.
Macy's， 梅西，美国最大的百货商场吧。
Hi, and welcome to Macy's, the largest department store.
Hey. 这个包蛮有趣的，材质也不错。 买一个送我女朋友吧，国内都没见过。搞定。
So what you saw on the screen there was Buy Plus. Buy Plus is an Alibaba innovation. So Alibaba is the retail giant coming up in the East. In many ways, it's actually set to overtake Amazon as being the most powerful retail player on the planet. Now, what's important about this is that we're starting to see virtual reality becoming more useful to us. Up until this point, virtual reality has been something of really the marketing, gimmicking, gaming, playing space. We've seen things like Playboy and swimsuit or Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue coming out with virtual reality centerfolds, which is all very fun and cute and all, but it's not really changing the way we live and interact as humans. The next evolution of virtual reality is like what we've just seen here, where virtual reality becomes a service. That service enables you to shop physically in any shop in the world using just your virtual reality experience. Going forward, we're going to see that virtual reality and augmented reality come a part of our lives in a more ingrained and more permanent type of position. We're going to see things like augmented reality smart contact lenses, which is what we see is going to be the future of Google Glasses, which has been a bit of a commercial failure. But just because something is too far ahead of the curve doesn't mean it's coming. And we really do see this blurring of virtual reality and real reality really integrating seamlessly, especially following on from the next trend.
I think we're out of eggs. Alexa, show me my shopping list.
Here's your shopping list.
Alexa, add eggs.
Eggs added to your shopping list.
Alexa, scroll down. Alexa, remove bacon.
I've checked off bacon.
Alexa, go home.
So that's Amazon Alexa. This is the new gen Amazon Alexa. 2017 really was the year that virtual personal assistants like Google Home and Amazon Alexa really started coming into people's homes. There are around 8 million American customers who have Google Alexa in their homes. And that's just the one virtual personal assistant. It's predicted that in the next 2 years, 50% of internet traffic will be voice activated rather than text or visual based. Now, this trend really relates to the Internet of Things. Google Alexa, home-based VPAs are really a connecting of our home and the objects that live in our house with us. Visa has come up with a product that allows you to tokenize different products within your house. Maybe not here in South Africa yet, but in certain parts of the world, you can program your washing machine to reorder just washing powder through a closed-loop token. So it pretty much converts any object into a very limited credit card. So that's huge for convenience, especially when you couple that with things like drone delivery for that on-demand experience. But when we talk about the Internet of Things, the next evolution is going to be the Internet of Industry. We're talking about smart farms and connected factories and mines. We've been tracking a project in Japan called Spread Lettuce Farm, which has really removed pretty much all of its human workforce. It's increased its productivity by 50%, and the farm is entirely automated. The grass has sensors in it that triggers when the sprinklers need to go on to make sure no water is wasted, and then all the production is maximized. Same thing, drones do the spraying going through the sky like what you can see on the screen there, and they even have robotics that can help harvest those products. Of course, coming back to the macro part of these 4 drivers or tech drivers that we're talking about now, is the next evolution is going to be the Internet of People. I showed you those tech tats. I've spoken about the virtual reality type of contact lenses and glasses. The Internet of People, us as human beings and our physical bodies being connected to the Internet 24/7. It might sound a bit science fiction-y, but right now in Sweden and the US, groups of employees have volunteered to undergo chipping parties. At these chipping parties, the employers embed a microchip into the employees so that they can go in and out of the building without using access cards. Now, I'm not sure about you, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that level of invasion of my privacy right yet, but the point is some people are comfortable with it. And that brings up ethical questions like, should you chip your child? Because in a country like South Africa, children go missing. Do the ethics of being able to find that child if they get into trouble outweigh the ethics of invading that child's privacy? And these are the sort of issues we're going to be coming up with. So having seen that, I hope none of you are considering going into the financial advice game. The thing is, this technology exists. ABSA has actually brought out ABSA check banking here in South Africa. We first picked up this trend about a year ago. And those sort of algorithms, those smart databases are actually very easy to automate a lot of human functions. The research from Harvard University and other think tanks shows that accountants are the single most endangered career for humans. 94% of accountants' current function can be automated by already existing technology. Things like this, like you just saw on the screen. And when you think about it, this makes sense. The jobs most at risk to being disrupted by artificial intelligence are jobs that rely on systems and processes, pure knowledge jobs. Lawyers, it's either right or it's not. It's either legal or it's not legal. GPs, if this, then send this prescription. If that, then send to that specialist. Those sort of systems and process-based functions, although right now some of the most highly paid and sought-after careers are not going to be the most highly paid and sought-after careers in the future. Just another statistic to put you off going into a financial services career is that the data is coming out and it's showing that London is preparing to axe more financial services industry jobs than South Africa has in its entire financial services industry. So if you're going to get into the space, the tech space is the space you want to be in. Now, algorithms and artificial intelligence that's really based on like an app type format is the first wave. The next wave is we're going into robotics, humanoid robotics. What you see on the screen here is a Robocop. They are currently on the streets in Dubai. So if you go to Dubai and you litter or you get into the wrong car, you jaywalk, you could be arrested by one of these guys right now. Now, these sort of more human functions are a bit harder to automate. They're more expensive to automate than a doctor or a lawyer, surprisingly. It's more expensive and more difficult to replace the guy that has to pick the coffee beans really carefully off the trees than it is to replace your accountant, your lawyer, your doctor. We are going and heading in that direction. I'm not sure if you heard the news this week, but a robot called Sophie was just granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia. She's the same robot who said she would happily destroy humanity just to make you all sleep very well tonight. An algorithm in Japan has also been granted residency. It's a chatbot like the one you saw here, and it's an interface between the government and the local citizens of the community. It's got a very cute little boy face to put you off how scary the fact is that robots and algorithms are being given human rights. Now, where we're going with this is the encouraging thing for us humans is that the jobs that are rote jobs, jobs like and dangerous jobs like going into mines, being a farm worker, being an accountant, which I can't imagine too many 5-year-old children sat at home wishing that they could grow up to be an accountant. Those are the sort of jobs that we're going to lose. The real human-based jobs, jobs that involve a connection, that involve creativity, empathy, and a human relationship are a lot harder to automate. Some of the least replaceable jobs are that of pastors and personal trainers, because no matter how good a robot is, you're not going to be motivated by a sexy robot. What gets you into the gym every morning at 5 a.m. is your really hot trainer with his perfect six-pack, and no robot's going to be able to replace that sort of motivation. So as a business leader, here are just a few tips to end off with that you can incorporate to ensure that your business is future fit in this brave new world. First thing that we encourage businesses to do is they might need to pivot for survival. What you see on the screen here is a little personal virtual assistant, very much like your Google Alexa, or Amazon Alexa, sorry. This one, though, is developed by Toyota. Toyota, the car manufacturer, has seen the future, and it's seen that the future is not in selling cars. Car ownership trends, due to those sort of shared ownership economies that we spoke about earlier, also due to the fact that Japan has an aging population, and the fact that more and more people don't have disposable income to spend on assets, they want to rather buy the end solution, has looked to the future and decided to invest in its technology and engineering department rather than in product manufacture. Other businesses are pivoting due to opportunity. Starbucks' CEO has redefined his role to focus on Starbucks' future as a financial services player. Right now, 50% of Starbucks revenue goes through the Starbucks payment app, which started out as a loyalty program. But they've seen the potential there, and they've seen the fact that banks aren't adapting as fast as retailers are, and they've stepped into that opportunity. So the truth there is, if you're looking at your competitors to see the future and to see your future competition, you're doing it wrong. Your competitor is probably in a different industry. The next shift is the shift from selling products to selling solutions. Uber is a wonderful example here too. Toyota was selling a car. Uber was selling a solution. What is the customer really buying when they buy a car? They're buying status, yes, but they're also buying mobility, getting from point A to point B. And Uber forgot about the product altogether and went straight for the solution. If you can do that, you'll be very well positioned.
I used to think saving and investing was out of my reach. But someday proved me wrong. It's different from other accounts. My favorite part is using #someday to transfer money. I simply connect my bank account and set how much I want to transfer. So when I'm feeling inspired, I can seamlessly add money to my investment account. I can also add money at any time or set up monthly transfers. I'm investing while I'm doing the things that I love. All I needed was $1 to start, so I had no excuse not to start saving and investing for my future. This is my someday.
Now that is a great example of a solution. People are often scared of saving and investing. Far too many of us, especially here in South Africa, don't save enough. And this company found a way to make saving painless and easy. They went to their customer. So all anyone has to do to save using this account is just simply use the #someday on any image that you might happen to like on your Instagram feed or Twitter feed. The next shift that we're looking at is a shift from design thinking to systems thinking. There's been a lot of talk about design thinking, and that was great up until a point. But we need to move beyond thinking about designing a product to designing a system that can produce solutions. It very much follows on from that whole shift from products to solutions. And the thing with designing a company that is solution-driven is that it requires a different business operating model to one that would have worked 20 years ago. We're now in the disrupted age. Some people call it the 5th industrial revolution. But what that really means is that businesses have to be more agile. They have to be able to make decisions fast. And in order to do that, companies can't be working through very structured hierarchies and siloed divisions. You need to be lean, agile, and have cross-department communications. The next shift, which is very interesting, is a shift from customers to citizens. By this we mean that once again that distance between businesses and their customers has shrunk. And not only does that mean that customers are demanding instant gratification in terms of the products and solutions that your company is delivering, they also expect the companies they transact with to articulate their values. We've seen this in the trend that we call brand activism. Now, Ben & Jerry's in Australia until gay marriage is legalized in that country, they are refusing to serve 2 scoops of the same flavor ice cream to any one customer. Now, that's a controversial stance. They're taking a stand saying, we're pro-gay marriage. Some customers might be against that stance, but the fact is that businesses have to take that stand. It's no longer enough just to stay out of politics and social changes. You have to pick a side, or your tribe will leave you. Going back to Uber once again, when Trump came up with his very controversial Muslim travel ban, Uber did nothing. I mean, what business was it of Uber's, what Trump was banning and what laws he was putting out? However, their smaller competitor Lyft donated $1 million to the anti-travel ban cause, and on that weekend, 200,000 Uber customers deleted their Uber app and switched to their smaller competitor. You have to take a stand. You can't be friends with everybody in this world in terms of the big political causes, but it is important you take those. Coming towards the end, what we've got here is the new type of business requires a new type of employee. Previously, you'd hire an employee based on their CV, their experience and their education. The shift now is to hiring people based on their talent and ability, their innate ability to learn and continually adapt. This Justice League of Pharma Veterans, as the media has coined the term, belongs to Roivant Pharmaceuticals. Now, this company brought in this team, this rather ragtag team, to take over the R&D department. These people do not have a pharmaceutical background or a pharmaceutical degree. There are entrepreneurs there, tech guys, people from academia, from politics, and even activists. These are the people they've brought in to kickstart their R&D process to give their end customer what they want at a lower, better cost. And lastly, the leaders of these new types of organizations have to be ambidextrous. What we mean by that is that leaders have to be able to both focus on their current business model and at the same time build a separate business model for the future. As I started off with, Fortune 500 companies' lifespans down to just 10 years. If you're not focusing on an entirely different business model in the future, you're going to be left behind. Incremental changes on your existing business model are not enough to keep up with the competitors. That effectively means that leaders have to run 2 different businesses at the same time. So, be brave, be bold. Don't be afraid to fail fast and to fail often. And as marketing guru Mark Ford says, the way you should approach business is ready, fire, and aim. You can always course correct later.